This conference will now be recorded.
We have some terrible feedback from people, so if everybody could mute your microphones until we call on you, that would be great. Good evening. My name is Mary Maslowski. I'm the chairperson of the Historic District and Historical Commission for the town of Harwich. We're calling to order our meeting of Wednesday, December 16th, 2021 at 6 p.m. This meeting is via remote participation only. No in-person attendance is permitted. In accordance with Governor Baker's March 2020 order, which suspended certain provisions of the open meeting law, we are holding all meetings whenever possible via remote participation only. We will immediately post a recording of this meeting to the town's website as soon as possible, and we will ensure that anybody who wishes to comment and participate in the public hearing aspects is able to do so. I'd like to start first with a roll call, please. If you could just answer as being present. Bob Doan.
Present.
Brendan Lowney. Brendan, you're muted.
Present.
Thanks, Brendan. Jean Steiner.
Present.
And Julie Eldridge.
Present.
All right, we are going to call to order our first public hearing. I believe, Julie, did you need to recuse yourself for this hearing?
I do. I need to recuse myself since I am, Tom is my brother-in-law. So I'm going to step away. Mary, if you can just text me.
I will text you as soon as our hearing is over and you can come back to the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Julie. So I'd like to call to order public hearing in the matter of HIH 2021-01. It's a notice of intent that has been received for 58 Bank Street, map 14, parcel Y7, partially in the C-V and the R-H-1 zoning district. The application proposes 100% demolition and rebuild of a single-family dwelling. The application is pursuant to the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 2. Peter and Corey Latanzi as owners, Thomas More Design Company as applicants. So the Latanzis are with us, as is Tom Moore. Tom, would you like to start and give us a presentation on what the applicants are intending?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Thomas More Design Company, representing the Latanzis. And the Peter and Corey Latanzi bought this property last year, I believe in the fall, and looking to build a new house on this property. And part of that would be the demolition of the existing house in order to make the room and for the proposed new house. The existing house, it's a half cape with some extensions on the back of it. I believe, according to the town records, the original house was built in 1840. I believe there's been a couple of extensions on the back of it. I'm not sure exactly when those took place. The house is in pretty rough condition inside and outside. Some of the ceilings inside are just barely over 6 feet. Most of the half cape in the front of the house, you might just be barely 7 feet. A lot of the existing doors are just barely 6 feet tall. So it's not conducive to certainly today's standards and the way people want to live nowadays. The house itself, in any research that we've done, I haven't seen it on any National Historic Register or Massachusetts Historic Register. The house that's being proposed with the new house, it's a Cape style house, and the part that's on the front of the building, which is we're trying to mimic the existing half Cape house that is there. So it kind of gives us the same look, or gives you the same look as what we're trying to replace. The rest of the house, it's a Cape style house with a gable in the front. You've seen the drawings that we've provided. It's part of the idea behind this property is to utilize the back part of the property for family entertaining and space away from the roads. Um, as you can see on the property, the existing house right now is only like 9 feet off the street line. The proposed house, we're moving it back on the property so that it meets the 25-foot setback. So it's roughly, we're moving the house back 15 feet roughly from where it is right now. We're improving some of the sideline setbacks, but I think the real gist of this is the existing house itself and whether that holds any historical significance to the town. We don't feel that it does. It's a basic, half cape. There's not a lot that's special as far as details to the house. It's a pretty simple house, and we're looking to take it down to make room for the new house. And I think that's about it. You are muted, Mary.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. It looks like you did also submit a letter from an engineering consultant.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Well, let me see. Well, as far as his letter, it's from Mark McKenzie. He completed the walkthrough of the existing building. He said the foundation for the building consists of varying ages of brick, which is set on a mortar bed and is in poor condition. The mortar joints are deteriorated. Many areas show failure of the brick. Also, the interior support foundation elements are irregular and consist of brick piers and some wood posts directly on the earth. There is no frost protection provided by the existing foundation. The frame of the house is also in very poor condition. The first floor framing was observed from the root cellar access, and from what was visible, there was evidence of significant dry rot and insect damage for much of the main structural beams and sills. Additionally, the framing elements are significantly undersized for current day design, floor design, and finished materials. The second floor wasn't visible, but from the observation of the sags and dips and noticeable bounce, all the elements are assumed to be in conditions size to the first floor frame. The roof framing was visible from some unfinished areas and was found to be shallow rafters at wide spacings, which is typical of that age. There's some visible sag in the roof, and there are many areas that indicate water has leaked through the roof and with damaged wooden plaster around, or especially around the chimneys. Yeah, and his final thing, based on the review, there is literally no structural element that would not need to be completely replaced or sistered in order to stabilize the structure for long-term future use. This, along with non-compliant ceiling heights, would make repair or replacement, impossible, or very, well, that's his words, impossible. And that was the gist of his letter. The back section of the house, there was some, I'm sure you probably didn't get inside the house, you may have been by it, but there was some heating elements that were ductwork that was retrofitted into the house, which further reduced some of the ceiling heights in some of those rooms, especially the kitchen area. When I measured it up, it was barely over 6 feet. It was like 6'2", 6'3" So that, along with the condition, and really, based on the structural engineers, we felt that it wasn't really something that we could try to salvage.
Thanks, Tom. Any members of the board wish to start with questions? Bob Doan?
Sure. I looked at the engineer's report also, and it sounds very typical of that age house, and he did state that it was typical construction of that time. The house is architecturally significant, and it's significant certainly in its surrounding area. And one of the few true Cape Path houses left in Harwich Port area. We certainly like to see people buy these properties and restore and use these Cape Path houses and other architecturally significant buildings even if it's used just for a guest house or something, and then add on to the back your regular living quarters. I do make the attempt to make it look like a Cape half house, which I guess is going to be a garage as I looked at the plans. Are there any elements you're going to be able to reuse in that plan?
I'm not sure if we'd be able to reuse anything in the, yeah, but you've been talking about any beams or anything like that inside, or?
Excuse me, I was referring more to the door and the windows. You know, the door does have some nice elements of that style house.
The front door?
Yeah.
The only, we possibly could on the garage, but the only reason I would say that we probably wouldn't think about it, only because it's a 6-foot high door. And we'd have to, that doesn't meet the code today.
Right, but you know, no house built before 1900 certainly meets any codes today. Yet that, you know, there is a very strong effort in Harwich and other towns on the Cape to preserve as much as we can of those heritage houses, because the percentage of those are dwindling quite fast. And we really do, it is our job to try to preserve and encourage the restoration of these houses, particularly the core original house. You know, yes, over the years additions are put on, and more often than not, the additions are poorer construction than the original. And we don't mind, I personally don't mind those being torn off and new things put on. But the original core house, I do believe, is very, very important to the fabric of Harwich.
Yeah, we could certainly consider taking a look at some of those elements.
I'm done right this moment, Mary.
Thanks, Bob. Jean.
Thank you. I did walk by it a couple of times yesterday, and I have to say I've been back and forth to the Bank Street beach. I live right off of Bank Street on the other end many times in the past 10 years, and I don't realize, I realized when I looked at the house that I had no idea it was there, because it's so covered in shrubbery and such. And I would agree with Bob. I mean, at 1840, it's kind of a gem of a half cape. And I was doing a little bit of research on half capes and wondered if it might have been floated from Nantucket, because apparently on the south side of the Cape, that's how a lot of these half capes happen to get here. So I have no idea, and I don't know how we would find out unless someone who had been a previous owner had carried down that piece of information, but I think it's interesting to think about. I also wondered if when you redo the foundation and such, are you going to make the house straight to the street? So right now it seems to be angled, not on Bank Street, but sort of, it doesn't face Bank Street straight on, if you know what I mean. Will that be achieved by the new foundation and such?
It still won't be straight onto Bank Street. It's still kind of, it's almost, the new structure is very close to being the same as the existing structure. It's just further back on the property. There is a little bit of a slight twist to the existing house to the property line. Yeah, I believe it's probably pretty close to being parallel, the existing house, to the Route 28 side of the property.
Ah, okay.
So it won't be parallel to Bank Street.
Okay. So that was one question I had. And then the other question was, in looking at the roof line of the proposed building, it looks like it's quite a bit higher and quite a bit steeper pitch than the existing roof. Am I correct in that?
Yes, it would be. It'll be higher, and because of, we've got taller ceilings. It is the pitch on the roof is steeper also.
Okay, and is the chimney going to be at all salvageable or not?
I'm not positive of that. The existing chimney you're talking about.
Okay. Right. Because I think that's a really iconic feature of this kind of architecture. And then my last question is, as I look at the front of the proposed new building, how far back does the left side recess from the front, or is the porch directly, what's the word I want to use? Is it pushed back at all from the front of the house, or is it like level with the front of the house?
If you there's a 14-foot difference between the back of the garage and the front of the house, and then there's an 8-foot porch in front of that. So the main gable that you see on the back portion of the house is 14 feet back from the back of the garage, or 38 feet back from the front of the garage.
Okay, but what I'm looking at is the front of the house. And so is there any recessing of the porch from the front of the house? Or is it level with the front of the house?
The porch is out in front of the house. So I'm not sure if I understand exactly what you're saying, but I have the garage. The garage is 24 feet wide. And
Okay.
then I have 14 feet to the main body of the house. And then the porch is 8 feet in front of that, so it's not trying to get you to understand. But if you look you have drawing A1 on the first floor plan.
On the existing ones or the new ones, right?
The new ones. That you're talking about the new ones, correct?
Yeah, I am. Hang on a minute. I just had it. Now I lost it again.
Gene, if you look at A4, you can see how it's stepped back. So you have the garage portion where they try to duplicate the little house, and that's really the garage. Then it steps back to a door entry. So you can see how that porch, the front porch that's facing bank, is stepped way back.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. Thank you.
Yes.
A4
Sorry,
has
I
the
want to
better.
be very
I was
clear
trying.
question. Thank you. That's all I have for right now. Thanks.
Brendan, any questions or comments?
No, I mean, I think I agree with Bob. The engineering report is right on for a house that age. That wasn't a surprise to see that. I did have a chance to drive by the house and pull into the driveway and take a quick look. I think it's pretty typical. To Bob's point, and maybe Bob can answer this. Bob, if they were to replicate that front door, is that something you'd be amenable by, or? So it's a 4-light 4-panel that they're proposing, and to get a true 6/8 door, I mean, it might be the only option to replicate that door, at least have an element of something from the house.
I mean, my objection would be I would, if it could be replicated, yes, but I also really object to the dormer that would be facing the street on that, because that's the classic Cape house does not have the dormer on the front. So
Gotcha.
I object to that. I object to that also.
That's something we could actually put on the back side so that it would not be on the front.
How much bigger is the replicated part of the garage? It looked like it was only about 2 feet wider. Is that correct? But I didn't get a sense of how much taller it is.
It is about 2 feet wider, and as far as the actual height, let me just grab a scale here for a second. The existing house is about 18 feet it's tall to the ridge. The proposed would be about 23.
Wow.
I could
Is that-
adjust the pitch on the roof, for that portion of it to try to get closer to what's there. Part of that, the difference in height is just the overall height of the ceilings and inside the house as compared to what's there right now. There's at least a couple of feet of difference there.
Yeah, I mean, other than the upstairs would certainly be small, but if you could relocate that house, put it on a new foundation because you're just using it as a garage, couldn't that be done?
I would say it probably could. It's not what we're trying to do, at least at this point.
Yeah, and to pick up on Gene's comment, loss of that chimney, that is also very iconic for that house.
Along with the dormer, we could mimic that type of a chimney, on the proposed house.
Are you all set, Bob?
Yeah, I'd like to hear from the other board members.
Yep. So I wanted to pipe in as well. I guess I agree with my colleagues that the dormer just doesn't look right on the half cape portion. And I guess my question to my other colleagues is, if they can't salvage that original half cape, to either relocate it or even keep it where it is, they can't salvage that. Would changing the pitch in the roof actually make a difference? I have a hard time visualizing it with the picture that's in front of me. So I guess I'm asking Brendan and Bob, if the pitch was corrected and the dormer was removed and a chimney was returned to new construction, would that make a difference to either one of you on the look and feel?
I think I'd be more favorable to this, yes.
Can I ask Tom a quick question? Tom, is every pitch a 12 pitch?
What's proposed is a 12 pitch, yes.
Yeah, everywhere? Yeah, okay.
There is a few things that I could do with the proposed garage, along with the roof pitch, that would bring things down a little bit, so that it's not as much of a difference between the two. We could certainly put the dormer that we have there on the back side of the garage, and even versus the cupola that we have on the garage now, we could mimic the existing chimney. It'd be a faux type of a chimney, but we could kind of do something like that. And
Tom, aesthetically, to have a different pitch in that roof, other 12 with the other pitches being different, aesthetically, would that look? I mean, you're the architect, so what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that is that I could adjust the pitch on the main house also a little bit. The gable on the front, I'd probably want to try to keep that as steep as I could.
Yep.
But I could make some adjustments there to the pitch of the roofs and still achieve what we're trying to do here, I believe. I could certainly do it on the garage, the proposed garage, as far as that roof line. There's no second floor that connects to the main house, so I could bring that down a little bit and drop it down a little bit to help with what some of your thoughts are.
Jean, do you have any additional comments?
No, I don't. I think that, you know, I'm kind of in concert with Bob and Brendan on that. I agree about the dormer. I don't think it goes with the lungs.
Okay, so before we go too much further, I just do want to read one communication that we got into the record in the public hearing. And then I'll ask if, I don't believe there's anybody on the call that's looking to speak, but I will ask as soon as I read this into the record, because I could be wrong. We received an email from a Cynthia Kozlowski in West Harwich. This email was sent to Melissa Millette, who is our staff in the Community Development Department. And the subject matter is hearing for 58 Bank Street, Harwich Port demolition. It's addressed to Mary Maslowski. I would like to express my dismay at the increasing trend of destroying entire houses. I admit I don't know the age or condition of the house in question. However, at the very least, it would seem to be prudent to save something out of the house, offer things for salvage. I would hope at the very least they would also be held to the same footprint and height. This person goes on to say that it was pretty sad to see the building next to Holy Trinity disappear, and I'm sure there was salvageable building material that was tossed in the dump. My same thoughts could be shared with the planning board as well. The house I live in is 3 3/4 capes all stuck together, and then another building was added. They didn't throw much away in the 1840s. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Cynthia Kozlowski, West Harwich. And then I will just wanted that to be read into the record officially. And then I will ask if there's anybody on the call that is looking to speak on this public hearing.
Mary, this is Barbara Nickerson. I am.
Hi, Barbara, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. So a couple things, and I'm sorry, I'm probably going to ramble a little bit on some of this. But first off, I'm getting really tired of people buying property here with historic houses with the intent of tearing them down. I mean, you know, you got the engineers saying you have to do this, this, and this. It's not impossible to do anything to save this house. You know, I just, you know, perhaps the applicants don't have the right engineers on board for this. And please don't tell me that there's no significance to this half cape in Harwich or Harwich Port, because I took your list, your historic resource list, and I went through there. And well, first off, let me say my other comment is that while the assessor's database has this as 1840, if you go on to your list, both the Macris and the Hale research shows it to be either 1750 or 1790, not 1840. So it's actually older than your 180 years old. Second off, that being said, I went onto your historic list and I went through there, and unfortunately, we are down to 50 houses that were built between 1700 and 1799 in Harwich. Of those 50 houses, there are only approximately 18 left in Harwich Port. Now, a lot of those were half capes that came from Nantucket. Some of them were built here originally. The point being is that 50 houses in all of Harwich is pathetic, and only 18 or 19, based on your list, and your list needs some work, as we all know, that's even worse. I mean, that's even worse. I mean, how many people here used to be able to come down to Harwich and see all the old houses? And now we have McMansions and all these other new products built there. It's just, you know, who is speaking for the resources? I mean, all I hear about is, yeah, maybe a demo delay. Well, it might look like that, but why aren't we having people spend more time and interest in this town? This is what they're excited to be about in Harwich about. Not to look at brand new houses. That could be at any town on the South Shore, the East Shore, or anywhere in the country at this point. I'm just, when is the destruction of the historic structures going to stop? I mean, I'm sorry, and there isn't an engineer, a structural engineer in the state that's going to tell you anything different, as Bob Doan indicated, because I just did this to a 1796 house 4 years ago, and we don't meet code, but there are ways to do it, even without sistering, et cetera, et cetera. So perhaps, maybe we need to get a list of resources of engineers and designers that are willing to work with existing houses instead of just everybody coming down and just tearing them down and destroying the fabric of our town. Thank you. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about this, and I'm very sad that we're losing all these resources around town. I mean, that's pathetic. 50 houses left in the whole of Harwich. That's sad.
Thanks, Barbara. Is there anyone else online that wishes to speak in the public hearing from the public? Hearing none, I will turn it back to members of the board. Any other questions from the board? Bob?
No more questions at this point.
Okay. Brendan?
Maybe to Mrs. Nickerson's point, I understand the frustration with it, and we always try to do a compromise. We've done it on several properties. And to the Latanzis and Tom Moore, I think what we've tried to do in the past, that's why we push back on certain things. I understand the design you did was very close to almost replicating it, and that's why we're kind of pushing towards, can the front door be saved or duplicated, bring the chimney back instead of the cupola, get rid of the dormer and change the roof pitch. That would be something I think we were heading towards, but then you listen to Mrs. Nickerson and you understand the passion behind that, and rightfully so. So it's always a tough decision when we get to this point with homes. If they were to save the house, there's nothing to stop anyone from adding onto the back of it and creating what they're going to create anyways. So whether or not the house can be saved, but the idea is if we could put back the elements, so when people do come to Harwich, they drive by these homes and they see these over-styled, chunky chimneys, or these 4-panel doors that people are not accustomed to, or the roof pitches. I think that's what they're looking for. Then the next person might build and duplicate from there. So it's always tough. I mean, I think this is another situation where we have to come to a compromise like we've done in the past. And yeah, that's it for me, but it's another tough one.
Okay, so thanks for that, Brendan. I am going to just ask a couple of questions. First, I think Bob Doan's first question, if I remember correctly, was whether the original front half cape could be saved and moved. So I guess if Mr. Moore, if you and your clients are willing to look into whether that's a possibility, and I understanding that it may not be, but if we could at least look into that as a possibility. And then I think second, if you'd be willing to make some of those changes that were proposed, changing the roof pitch, the door, the chimney, removing the dormer from the front of the building, if we could see revised plans on that, we could probably come up with another date where we could continue this to for another a continuation of the public hearing. And just for, I know Mrs. Nickerson knows this, I know others that have commented know this, our role in the demolition delay bylaw is we are afforded up to 12 months to delay the demolition on any building that is deemed historic over 100 years of age in the town of Harwich. So to Brendan's point, if we can come to a compromise and get some of those elements to remain, in a perfect world, the original house, in the not so perfect world, at least to save some of those elements, it's a different result than what happened in West Harwich with the building at Holy Trinity, where the building's gone in its entirety. So those are some of the situations that I know I struggle with at every meeting, and I think my colleagues struggle with as well. But I just want to check with my board members to see if if we're on the same page with, seeing if it's possible to save that original front, and if not, to see revised plans at the next meeting. Does that work for each of you? Bob Doan?
Yeah, so would that mean we would just do a continuance, or would we be appropriate to put the delay on it now, but open up to looking at additional ideas?
So I guess from a practical standpoint, we could put the delay on and they can come back and ask for reconsideration. I think from the standpoint of the application, it may be easier to continue it for 1 month, say give them an opportunity to come back with plans, and then if we don't come to some resolution, then we can put the delay on.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
absolutely.
Yes.
That's good.
All right. Would you and your applicants be able to make the next February meeting, which would be looks like February 17th should be our next Historic Commission meeting?
Yeah, I would definitely be able to make that, and we can certainly do some revised plans so that we can come up with some of the changes that that you're looking for, and I think we can incorporate those into some updated plans.
If you could get those to us, preferably a week ahead of time, would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Mary?
Yep.
This is
Yeah.
Barbara Nickerson. May
Hi,
I
Barbara.
say something, or am I out of order?
Nope, we're still in the public hearing, so you're being recognized.
Okay, so, I know that this is with COVID and everything like that, but if the applicant wanted to come see my 1796 house and what we did, and how we did it, and then added on to be in the 21st century, I'll throw that offer out there.
Thanks, Barbara. Bob Doan?
So I would encourage, if we do the continuance, that you do take another look at relocating it, lifting it, and just moving it over to where the position you want. I'd be much appreciated if you did make an attempt to look at that and come up, with a possible strategy.
We could take a look at it, and I know it looks like Peter, did you want to say anything?
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for all your input. We would certainly be willing to look at the door that you talked about, the chimney, the dormer, taking that off, and the pitch, and moving the chimney. Those are things we would certainly take a look at. We'd like the opportunity to come in front and show you what we come up with.
Thank you, Peter. If that's the case, then my suggestion would be that the chair would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing until February 17th, no earlier than 6 p.m.
I move to continue the public hearing.
So Bob Jones made a motion to continue the public hearing till February 17th, no earlier than 6 p.m. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jean Steiner has seconded. So can we have a roll call? Bob Jones.
Aye.
Brendan Lowney.
Aye.
Jean Steiner.
Aye.
And Mary Maslowski, I vote in the affirmative as well. So we have continued the public hearing to February 17th. I encourage you to please take our comments in the spirit in which they're intended. We are all hoping to maintain these historic aspects for the town of Harwich. I would encourage you, if you wish to reach out to Mrs. Nickerson as she had requested, to please do so. And Tom, if possible, those plans, if you get them a week ahead of time, that'd be great, because then our assistant can circulate them to us. so that
Okay.
we'd have a chance to look at them before the meeting, okay?
All right, Mary. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you.
we'll see you in February.
Okay. Have a good night.
I'm going to take a 2-minute recess just to text Julie and get her back into our meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Or mute.
Thanks, Bob. I just texted Julie. She should be back on momentarily.
There she
Here
is.
she is. I need to find the rest of my meeting agenda. Welcome back, Julie.
Thank you very much.
So the next item we have on our agenda is discussion and possible vote on meeting minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from the 15th and the 27th of January 2020, February 19th of 2020, and December 16th of 2020?
Mhm.
Yes.
Then I would entertain a motion to accept and place the meeting minutes on file.
Mary, could I just make a clarification in the minutes of December 16th?
Please.
And let me just see where it was now. Oh, it was the Roman numeral 3 public meeting update on demolition delay bylaw. And it talks about the way it's written here. It says, Ms. Steiner and Ms. Maslowski explained that they had met with administration to discuss the fee increase to $500 daily if the demo delay is not followed or occurs without a permit, as well as a delay in permitting. I think we should add something about administration suggested that we should continue with the $300 a day fee to be in concert with what's recommended by the state.
Yeah, I
Can
agree
you
with
just-
you, Jean.
Can you repeat that one more time? I'm gonna jot it down so I can make the edit.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
So I think what Jean needs is an additional phrase on the sentence that says that administration recommended the fee be kept at $300 per day due to
State mandate.
due to enforcement reasons, or for enforcement reasons, or something like that.
Okay. Per day
That work,
for
Jean?
enforcement.
That was it.
Anything else?
Mm-mm.
Okay, then the chair would entertain a motion to accept and place on file minutes for January 15th and January 27th and February 19th, 2020, and the meeting minutes of December 16th, 2020 as amended.
I'll second.
So Jean Steiner has made the motion, Bob Doan has seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Bob Doan,
Aye.
Brendan Lowney,
Aye.
Jean Steiner,
Aye.
Julie Eldridge,
Aye.
and I will also vote in the affirmative. 5-0, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the 2021 meeting dates. I don't know if you folks had an opportunity to look at those dates. I don't know if anything strikes you as problematic.
I don't think so. I'm good.
The only one is March 17th. Sometimes we have a problem with March and April because of school vacation week, and sometimes, well, March 17th is going to be March 17th, right? It's going to be St. Patrick's Day. So I don't know if we want to keep those 2 dates consistent. I don't know that we will have the same issue with COVID that we have in years past with quorum issues, but we're short on folks. So
I'm not planning on traveling at all.
right. All right, then I have no problems with the other dates if you folks don't either.
I'm good.
So Melissa, we can just have those posted as our meeting dates then.
Fantastic.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is our annual report to the Board of Selectmen, which is due in February. Melissa has done a draft. If anyone has any additional items that you'd like to be inserted, please let me know and we can do that.
I'll make sure I have my ethics done before then.
Oh, thank you.
I've not done it this year.
Well, we all have to do it before April 1st, actually. So
Okay.
you should all be getting new information. Now, the only thing I need to fix is Brendan and Julie have been full members, so that wasn't new for this year.
No.
And I have to check Gail Carroll's last date of service. I don't know if that was June of this year, I think.
I think it was.
So I'll want to add that in. If anybody has if anything comes up that you can think of with respect to the new for this year's annual report, please let me know, and I will revise the draft for our meeting. I forget the meeting date, but I know it's coming up in February.
It's Monday, February 1st.
It is February 1st. Thanks, Melissa.
Of course.
And next item, any reports from commission members? Bob, did you want to give a quick CPC update?
Yes. So our last CPC meeting, we really discussed each one of the historic ones as well as all the other articles in detail. Interestingly, the cemetery, which was to replace or to repair the headstones in the South Harwich Methodist, or I don't know if it's South Harwich or East Harwich, but that Methodist church, it really came under question because it is not owned by the town, the cemetery. It's still owned by the church. And that complicates. I did actually go back. I was curious about all the other cemeteries, and they are all truly owned by the town of Harwich. So I think that might come up as an issue on doing putting the money into it where we don't actually own the graveyard. There has been precedent set for doing works on non-owned property, mainly the Howard Center Congregational Church. We did, CPC did replace or repair windows under some various guidelines, so it's certainly precedent set for it, but I think it has to be made clearer. Secondarily, the fencing around that is very expensive and it comes under the same issue. And what really became an issue is liability. And so there has to be some clarification around the liability of if we're working on the fence or somebody gets hurt, whatever, who has the liability for that. So those are kind of unclear, I think, right now. The Brooks Academy, that looks a little clearer. There's a lot of support for doing all of it, or at least half the cellar. There is grants being written. There was some hope that one of them looked pretty positive, but I got an update that the larger grant that would help towards that may not be as hopeful as it was initially. A lot of competition, and there was some question about a lease on it, which is a lease to the Historical Society that was not submitted and may be pertinent. So that may hurt the chances, but we'll have to find out. David Spitz had asked for clarification on that and had not received any information as of yesterday. Is that the, I'm not forgetting another historic one, am I?
You are not forgetting
Oh.
another historic one.
So,
There were
so
three.
that's the update. What's that?
There were only the three.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That throws me off because they put the flagpoles in historic, which has been
Exactly.
taken out. So that,
Exactly. I will say we did get a great presentation from the engineer, architect with respect to the Brooks Academy Museum. So if anybody's curious, you may want to go back to that last meeting and see some of the comments and conversation that was had. It was quite a good discussion, I thought, with respect to what needs to get done and what the costs would be. So, and Bob, we are meeting tomorrow night. Yes.
Tomorrow night?
Yep, for CPC.
I thought that was moved to the end of the month.
Was it? Am I crazy? I thought we were meeting tomorrow. Hold on, don't go anywhere. Let me look.
I thought someone couldn't make it, and Dave insists that we have 100% quorum, and so they moved to the last week in January.
Maybe I'm crazy. It's entirely possible. It wouldn't be the first time that I messed that up.
Spending too much time in Yarmouth.
I know. I was just going to say that.
So it's still showing up on the calendar as 6 o'clock for tomorrow.
Okay, then I think we have to assume that's correct. Then
I can certainly check, and I will send an email out if I'm mistaken. I think the one that got canceled was this week, but I will check on that, Bob, and I will follow up. So if there's nothing else, then I would say, does anybody have any other updates besides CPC?
No.
All right, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will.
Julie's made a motion to adjourn.
Just second. Before we go, I went to the agendas, and it does say canceled for community preservation for January 21st.
It does. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Bob.
Yep. Okay.
I looked on the calendar. I would have been sitting on a call tomorrow night, so I appreciate it. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Everybody seconds. Okay, Julie has made the motion. Jean seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Bob Doan.
Aye.
Brendan Lowney.
Aye.
Jean Steiner.
Aye.
Julie Eldridge.
Aye.
And Mary votes in the affirmative as well. 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the
Bye, everybody.
7th of February.
Do you want us to call in on the 1st?
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
You're welcome to if you want, but it's not a full meeting. It's just a report.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Mary. Good to see you.